Hello people, welcome back. It's been a really long time since I posted the video, mainly because I've been just doing loads of other stuff. And I have played the game and I built this area here because I just needed a place to put a load of residential people. I always wanted to put a huge tramway in, which I've also done, and I spent a considerably large amount of time trying to work out why the trams were going along and just skipping loads and loads of tram stops. And it's one of those weird little things that occur occasionally when you click your links and for some reason it just decides it's got to go all the way one way and all the way back to make that stop. So you end up also with a lot of trams running because it's just very inefficient. Anyway, I'll just whack this in. I just thought I'd have a little play around. I didn't want to do any video, no narration, and I really enjoyed myself. It was great fun. I didn't place anything. I didn't do any of the kind of Rico or manual placement. I just went through it. I just put a load of residential in, some commercial, a little bit of offices down one end, linked it up with a ginormous underground tunnel, and I really wanted it to be car free. And as you can see, it is not car free. But on the plus side, my car park on the other side where my kind of resort there is, I put 2 car parks in. The second car park, which is actually pretty large, well, it has now got a lot of cars in it. So I am super pleased with that. And if you have spotted it carefully, at the top left I am using the Afterburner by MSI just to monitor the entire progress of the game. Let me just whiz over here and show you the car park. Look at that puppy. It is going like a, well, I'm going to say a trolley, going like a trolley. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but it is going well and it is busy, as you can see. I put my tram line around the outside again, which I'm quite happy about. Did a little bit of one-way tram routing here, trying to make the trams a little bit more efficient. And yes, I've got trams, and you will just see if I just shoot around here, my tram line to my new area comes across this rather lovely area and then diverts quite abruptly over here. And it goes along and it goes swishing around, and then here we are into the new area. I have to say, I'm quite pleased with it. What more can I say? I'm just pleased with it. Anyway, you can't hear it, but I'm listening to a bit of Footloose in the background here, and yeah, it just makes me feel a little bit poppy and groovy. So after looking around at the old graphics cards and seeing what they did and what they didn't do, and if they helped and if they didn't, I've probably got to say overall no. It's probably because somebody pointed out that the game is probably only single core, and you know, the day and age of CPUs with multiple cores and threads, then if Cities is rewritten, then well, we are in for some serious fun and performance improvements. Anyway, back to playing the map that I was playing before the 3000 series came out. And what are we playing? Well, I've decided to just go about and, well, a city needs kind of an industrial area. Now my demand is for housing and commercial, but I'm going to preempt the requirement for resources. So a long way away from anywhere, I found a patch of land that is good for oil, and I'm going to just put a little industrial area in here. I'm not going to make it look nice at the moment, I'm just going to make it functional, and I'm going to hope to build out all the other areas as well. Part of this is so that I can start adding all of those various factories in and warehouses and start creating goods that can then be sold in the city. I'm sort of going about it in the wrong way because there is no demand at the moment for industry, but that's, I'm just going to do what I want because I've got infinite money. I don't care, basically. I don't care. So that's what I'm going to do. You're going to see me build it up. I'm going to put a little bit of a residential area on the other side as well. Two of the main tools that I'm going to be using also, not only is it Move It mod, the Anarchy mod as well, but I'm also going to be using the Intersection Line tool, which is fantastic, and you should go and get that ASAP, and the Trusted Traffic Manager President Edition, which is also great for ensuring that the traffic is routed around your roundabouts correctly, or junctions correctly. So as you can see, I'm using TMPE here to make sure that all the traffic is flowing exactly the way it should be. So left is left, straight on is the centre line, and we shouldn't get any quirks. I'm also going to use the really tool that everybody is raving on about, the intersection tool. Now you just basically click on the node, click some lines. If you read the little hover note, if you press like nothing, it just gives you the dashed lines. If you press shift, it gives you the solid lines, and then you can also click alt and click between the little dots, and you will get fillers, which is excellent. However, I went and did this, and then later on you'll notice it's disappeared, and that's because I just fooled around a little bit with some of the junctions. You'll see a bit later on that I go and adjust those so that the on and off ramps go from one lane to two, so that you can split off left or turn right at the roundabout, just to try to improve the flow of traffic, because I was getting some heavy duty tailbacks. But if you haven't got it, it is worth getting from the Steam Workshop, the intersection tool. The guy or gal, I don't know who they are, who is developing this, just keeps on putting new features in, and I'm not even touching some of the options you can do. I'm literally just doing the bog standard basics, but it's well worth it. Go get it. It appears not to have any impact on performance when you're playing the game, so well done them. Time after configuring up the roundabout to actually lay the road to enter the industrial estate that I'm placing. Now I've noticed it, and I noticed it later on, that one of the roads didn't join. Anyway, I created my industry area, put some roads in, wanted to make them all one way to kind of help traffic around the area, so I've put that in, all looking very nice. Now I'm not going to spend any time in detailing this up. I'm just literally bunging a load of oil wells in, some sort of plants to be able to take some of those requirements, the oil, into plastic and other items, so that I can quickly generate raw materials that I can then process into goods, which would be excellent. I've also put a little area in there as well, just for industry. It's specifically for oil, obviously, and I've added myself a cargo in and out train route as well, because all that is quite important. The other thing I was going to do is I got a little bit of a area over there by the water that I thought would be quite a nice place to put residents in. They can then have a few bits of shopping spaces. They've got a train route in and out of the area, and there'd be an ideal set of people to work in the oil industry just over the road. So one of my big failures I tend to keep forgetting about is levelling land. I sometimes quite enjoy just having a land undulating, so it gives a bit of a visual interest. But this area is quite low anyway, but the actual road in did go along, and I totally by accident made the road go underneath the railway line. So the railway line actually stays flat, but the road goes underneath it. That wasn't intended, it was just by accident. So I've added some smaller roads in, got the main roads going around the outside, and some pathways to ensure that the Sims can move around, because that's obviously quite important. A couple of bus routes in, and I go and alter that in a short second, because I've got my other little area on the right over there. And I thought, well, if I put a bus route in, I might as well just extend one of the other ones, which I did. So I've zoned them up, made them all look nice, and then I've added some of the key services in. So you've got the bits and bobs like the hospital, doctors, healthcare, some of the smaller elementary schools and the high school and all those kind of things, and hopefully people will quite quickly move in and upgrade. Now, one thing you'll also notice is that the colour is maybe not as it was previously, and I think I have somehow bodged up one of my kind of LUTs, as they call it, so I do flip over in a second to one that I used in a previous video called Tavino, and hopefully it brightens it up, makes it look, there you go, much nicer. I do have a couple of mods on, so I've also got the kind of auto budget in, which is meant to reduce the amount of buses going around a route over time, and I've also got the auto colour route as well, so you'll see later on that the actual colours of those routes for both the both the buses and the train routes will change after they've been created and the game is playing. So you can see the old oil pumps are busy, the lorries are moving in and out quite quickly, and I've got some storage tanks and a few of the smaller kind of plants there just to be able to enable, as I said, produce raw materials, so at some point I can make those and use some factories to actually produce some real goods. Now I did have some issues. I had an issue with water. For some reason it runs low at night, so I had to put a new water source for pulling water in, and I put a couple of the kind of eco-friendly sewage plants near the edge of the map. Now, as I've got unlimited money, it doesn't make any difference where or how far away they are. There's also an issue with, you do need to make sure you have multiple flows, because sewage can back up if you don't have multiple paths in and out. Again, it's quite important to make sure, as you can see, the traffic is pausing there, so quickly turn off all of those possible crossings, and you can now see that the traffic is flowing much better around that roundabout. Again, using TMPE just to ensure that all the traffic comes in and out on the correct route, so nobody is having to try to cross lanes, and also again changing it so that traffic can just zoom through ideally. And again, intersection, well, again I want to put that in, make it look nice, and well, just make it look nice really, because that's all it's there for. And I did put a dash line. I like to put these kind of don't cross the solid white lines, and I do make a small mistake on the left hand side there, so I have to go and delete the line and re-add it. But that's all the pleasure of playing the game. So the traffic is moving quite nicely, but you can see some of the stuff goes long and then sort of goes right and left. So I'm going to add some dual lane highways in just to allow me to use the traffic manager tool to make it much more effective. So left lane is left. However, I made those particular roads are two-way. So one in each direction, so I realised my mistake, and I go and update them again to be two-way one-ways, and then I can do the TMPE correctly. This particular runner has quite a lot of nodes on it, so as you can see I had to make quite a lot of TMPE modifications, but I think ultimately making those changes in the flow really does improve around that roundabout. So when the oil industry gets really busy, and if I put some factories nearby, then hopefully this particular roundabout will be able to cope quite nicely. As you can see there as well, you can see there's some lorries turn left then right, but that's not right. We don't want that to happen. That's just going to delay things. So now we've laid TMPE in properly, we shouldn't have any of those kind of issues where traffic goes right to go left or vice versa. Again, you can see the traffic is pausing when it shouldn't be, so use TMPE again just to remove some of those restrictions and to make sure that the other options are there so all traffic can flow at all times. I do think the intersection mod looks really nice. I've lost it for some reason on the bottom side of that roundabout, so I'll have to go back at some point and update that again. So here's another area which you can see is quite busy. It's using traffic lights to let traffic in and out, and it's like that's maybe not the best thing. So again, I'm using the roundabout mod. Going to add that in initially with a 2-lane one-way road, and that does improve somewhat. But I watch it for a little bit of time and think to myself, well, maybe a 3-lane would be better, because I've noticed there's a little bit of traffic that crosses on the right-hand side and does things maybe not quite as it should. So I'm going to upgrade that to a 3-lane one-way. So now I've upgraded that, I can use the roundabout and just make the junctions correct. So now that the left-hand lane is for left only. Last but not least, I'm going to add a roundabout using the roundabout parking mod. I think it's a mod. It is absolutely fantastic. You put a drive in, you put a border in, then you put the kind of fillers in, as they call them, and you run it across. I've forgotten how to do this. I thought there was a gap of 3, but you just need to have one square, and you put the road in, another square, a road in, and you get perfect gaps. As you can see, I make a mistake. The other really important thing to do with this is, if you don't want clipping to occur, is to make sure that the ground is level, and I didn't do that. So if you're using this, then ensure that you make sure the ground is level. I'm selecting what I think is the leveling off, but it's kind of the up and down one, which is not doing as I want it to do, and you can still see it's not brilliant. Anyway, I thought rather than deleting everything, maybe I can use the move it mod, select all the nodes in that, and then level it up to that junction at the top left there. It's kind of about 10 o'clock, I guess. So this, you can just select the button, select that, select it, say to an object height, select another node, boom, thank you very much. Excellent. The gaps are all wrong, so I have to go and delete the filler roads, and then I can add new filler roads back in and add in all of the parking. For some reason, I'm having real problems with selecting stuff, so I had to toggle it between one road and the other, because whenever I was selecting, it was not selecting the right thing. I had that earlier as well when you saw me trying to flatten the landscape. Although I was trying to click on the correct icon, it didn't seem to be registering it. So I haven't done it yet, but I will do. I'm going to put a little underground pathway from this great big car park to the train station. The other thing to do is obviously make sure that all those people parking on the street will be moved off of the street and will then go into the car park. Again, using the TMPE mod, you can do that quite simply by selecting the no parking option. I'm going to end the video right now. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to be told of future videos that I make. This has been a short one, hasn't been one of my best, but hey, thanks very much for watching. See you again soon. Goodbye.